Chair, I withdraw my point of order.
Gentleman withdraws the point of order. Chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Garcia. You recognize to strike the last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to strike the last word. And I'm glad you shared that it took you about a year, and I believe you've said that you've held various positions in banking and 2 major positions in some of the, I think, regulators that are involved in banking. So imagine if, with your expertise, it took you a year, and I know it took me about that long, and I didn't hire a lawyer because I was, in fact, a lawyer at the time, but it took me probably about 6 months or so to unravel and figure out who the other Sylvia Garcia was that was responsible for the, well, I think it was some loan repayment issues. So it's important that we have staffing at the Consumer Financial Protection Board to deal with these issues. So if you don't have staffing to handle them, well, then the only choice that someone would have is maybe to try to hire a lawyer or visit some sort of legal assistance office to try to navigate these issues, because they really are very complicated. I don't know the last time some of my colleagues have had to face this issue, but it's not easy. And the other thing I wanted to just mention, that this is being sold as this is like what we do in all the consumer protection, and it's nothing new. But I know of no other consumer law that limits attorney's fees in the manner that this bill does, or caps actual damage in class action suits to $500,000. That's a change to me. And, you know, I was a legal aid lawyer many moons ago when I practiced consumer law. This is really, again, an attempt to limit what lawyers do. And I don't know which major lawsuits my colleagues were talking about that the lawyers get millions and the consumer gets pennies, because that was not my experience, and it's really, I've not read about anyone doing that. So I'm just concerned that the Consumer Protection Board would not have the staffing required, that again, then the person would have no choice but to seek legal help. So I'm glad the right to sue is there, but I don't see it necessary to limit attorney's fees or put caps on damages. If a harm is done, you know, in this country, you get, you know, again, we trust lawyers, we trust especially judges. Speaking as a judge, former judge myself, we trust juries. They will make the right decision and be fair and equitable. So I don't think that this huge concern for all these millions and millions are warranted. With that, I'd yield the remainder of my time to my ranking member if she needs to add to the discussion about her amendment.
Well, I want to thank you, Ms. Garcia, for sharing that information with us. You know, you may hate lawyers. That's your problem. With these kind of cases, you can't even get a lawyer. They don't take these cases on contingency. You got to come up with some money up front. So, you know, you don't even get to the point where you got to cap the damages. It's not going to be any, because the average person cannot get and pay for a lawyer. And, you know, I see it all the time. I hear it all the time, and a lot with renting. We're here trying to provide housing, you know, whether you're renting or whether you're buying, but you make it more difficult for the average person out there working every day to have a decent quality of life. This is outrageous. I want you to know, everybody out here knows what it means to even try and file a legal case against this bureaucracy that we have created and we work in. This bureaucracy is absolutely impossible to penetrate. It does not allow young people to have a decent chance at being able to fight something like a Consumer Protection Bureau. And you know it. And you may be mad at lawyers, you may not like them, but this is not the way to get at them. Wait until you got to file some lawsuits that's not backed up by the government in some way, and see what happens to you. First of all, I want to tell you, I'm working on housing. We're all working on housing, trying to get housing provided for everybody. Renting is extraordinarily important to young people. They're not buying any houses at this point. They can afford a 20% down. all they want to do is rent a decent place. And I want to tell you, one-bedrooms across this country are more than $1,000 a month. And you're putting them in a position where they could be harmed by one of these credit bureaus, and it's not a darn thing they can do about it. I
Gentlewoman,
yield back the balance of my time.
Time has expired.